a stranger? It's a bit late for strolling about these deserted country roads, isn't it? Never know what you might run into. Or whom. Could be a pack of man-eating coyotes running about the place. Could be a crazed farmer turned axe murderer looking for new victims. Or maybe just a road-weary traveler hunkering down for the night with an old bedroll and a campfire at the crossroads. Well then, stranger, why don't you just sit yourself down and let's have us a little talk, shall we? Oh, let's not kid ourselves. We both know you're here to talk. There's only one good reason on this godforsaken earth why anyone with two bits of sense to rub together would be walking out here alone at this hour, so far from the lights of civilization and sanity. Only one reason why anyone comes to the crossroads so late at night. It only happens if that someone is looking to make a deal. I'll start, though, by doing a bit of speculation as to how you even thought to come out here. I'm willing to bet that there's no one single instance of anyone just up and saying to you, go to the crossroads at midnight and meet the man to make a deal. That's not how these things work. It's more of a gradual, cumulative affair. Little bits and pieces of vaguely overheard conversation. A passage here and there in some book or other. Maybe a scrap of graffiti on the wall outside a bar. That's how word of this sort of thing gets around. Little bits and pieces all over the place. And for the rare, sensitive few, it all comes together and starts to make sense. It starts to resolve. It starts to become an idea. And then a real place. And eventually, you go there. And here you are. And here I am. A dusty old vagabond, you might think. Not a man alive would give me a second glance in broad daylight, and scarcely a first glance at night. Don't look much like a man who can make things happen now, do I? Look closer. My skin, my hair, my beard, a little too clean, a little too healthy for someone who looks like they've lived rough on the road for many a long, hard year. And this coat of mine looks like just a beat-up old leather duster, something out of an old cowboy movie. Except if you look a bit closer, you won't find any seams or stitches on it. No, sir, not a one. It's a custom piece, you might say. And my eyes. Look at them close, but don't stare too long. That's a good way to get lost, that is. Just look long enough to get a feel for the color. Even in the firelight, you can see that those eyes ain't no proper color for a man to have. Okay, that's enough. Look into the fire for a bit if you have to, or up at the sky. I don't need you getting lost in the void when you're obviously out here to do some talking, and maybe some dealing as well. So, let's get closer to the why of what you're doing way the hell out here in the middle of nowhere, in the dark. I'm pretty sure I can sum it up. I've got a talent for it, after these many long years. You've grown rather dissatisfied with the way your life has turned out, and you want to make some changes, but you don't know how to go about doing it. things are looking pretty bleak long term, and you somehow got it into your head that you could just go off into the dark, far from the city, and meet a man at the crossroads at midnight and make a deal. Dead on, right? I thought so. Now, I'll tell you straight away, right up front and honest, that what I'm offering is a 20-year term. No more, no less. 20 years in which to live life as fully as you are able. 20 years is a long time. It may not sound like much, but 20 years of your highest ambitions and wildest dreams. You know, there are precious few deal makers who can offer what I do. Some only offer a 10-year contract. Most of them offer 7, and that only if you manage to wheedle them up from 5. And you will have those 20 years. When you make a deal with me, very little, short of divine intervention, can cut your allotted contract time short. No sudden illnesses, no freak accidents, nothing like that. If you're under contract, you will live out your allotted time, according to the agreed upon terms. I know I mentioned no freak accidents just now. You might actually have to deal with a lot of those, but they won't be fatal. Your 20 years under contract can be as boring as you like if you choose to go in that direction, or they can be extremely interesting. Let's say you choose to live the life of some super rich rock star. You can do all the partying, boozing, drug-fueled craziness your heart desires. Drunken car crashes, drug overdoses, set collapses on stage, psychotic stalker fans. None of that will ever kill you. You might wind up sick or hospitalized or something along those lines, but not for long. A completely unprecedented and amazing recovery. Your life could become a series of astonishing but plausible coincidences, all in keeping with your contract, your guaranteed 20 years. Life still happens, of course, and a lot of life is pain. You may get to experience a lot of that, but you'll have the chance to experience so much of life that so few people ever even dream of. And before you get too grandiose in your planning, let me just tell you that there's a limit to what even I can make happen just poof right away. I can't, for example, just instantly make you a super famous world leader overnight. That's the sort of thing that has a lot of social connections attached to it, and that's just not something I can do. That's a mass alteration of a lot of minds at once, and that is a really tough order even for the divines to handle. Now there are a lot of things I can do overnight, and a lot more things I can start the ball rolling on. Let's say that you want to be some super rich corporate CEO billionaire and live the life of luxury with all the bells and whistles and have a youthful, healthy athlete's body and great teeth. I can't make that all happen at once. The youthful body I can do. Youth, looks, skills, abilities, I can make that a reality. That's not something a lot of people need to see developing. Sure, people who might have known you before might wonder why they never noticed certain things about you, but it'll all start to make sense in their heads after a bit. Now the wealth, that takes a little bit longer, but not much. You might suddenly hit the super ultra fancy Dijon multi-state jackpot lottery. What a coincidence. Or some relative that you've never heard of before, and no one else has either, wonder of wonders, suddenly snuffs it, and leaves you everything in the will. That's a great way to suddenly rise up in the world, especially if your mysterious dead relative was an eccentric recluse with a mansion no one seems to have known about. And it can snowball from there, really fast too, maybe even in mere weeks. Make the right investments, meet the right people, make the right connections. Suddenly inherited wealth can get really big with only a little bit of nudging to get it started. And you'll have some dedicated help too. Every contract that I take on comes with its own demonic personal assistant. Yep, sign the contract, you suddenly get catapulted into the life and lifestyle of your dreams, and you get your own personal demon helper into the bargain. That's not just for the CEO package either. That comes with any sort of contract I do. Everybody important needs a little bit of help behind the scenes to help them make the best decisions, to do more things that it might seem than one person has time for. Basically, that demonic assistant is a manifestation of the contract, helping you to live out your dreams. They're a magnet for coincidences, too. Just keep them with you, or send them out on errands, and they will very soon be making connections for you, arranging meetings, giving you wise financial investment advice. They'll even help you carry out your garbage in the morning, and do it all with a smile. They have other advantages too, of course. I hardly need to go into detail about the benefits of having your own personal contract demon at your beck and call. They have access to a stunning array of knowledge and skills, and they can appear as pretty much anything you want them to. The perfect butler, the professional secretary, the ideal social companion, perhaps even a personal companion. You get the idea. Yes, between the initial changes to you and your life once the contract is made, and the sudden events those changes can make possible, why, you could go from sitting here in the dust with me tonight to waking up tomorrow morning to a phone call from a lawyer informing you that your aunt's cat's grandmother's boarding school roommate just died and left an embarrassingly large amount of money and an estate entirely to you. And by next week, you could have a small army of knowledgeable day traders turning your money into even more money while you swim laps in your favorite of the 5 pools in your house, or go skydiving over the Pacific, or spend the evening with the rich and famous folk of Hollywood, to whom your incredibly persuasive personal assistant will be introducing you. After a month, who's to say but you'll have a different mansion to sleep in every night of the week, and a roll of the dice to choose from the Sunday ones. Meetings with the biggest names on the planet, living in the very lap of luxury, everything money and fame and power can get you. Once you've gotten there, and it can happen real fast. That's just one possible scenario, of course. There's a nearly infinite number of ways that one person can plan out and then live out their ideal fantasy life. Heck, you could choose to live as a simple hermit, all on your own in the middle of the ass end of nowhere, hale and hearty as you please with no one to bother you, and just the occasional visit from your personal assistant to bring you a load of groceries and the news from the hermit's 2 valleys over. Though why you'd want to make a deal with the likes of me for a life like that, when you could just up and do nearly the same thing on your own with no help at all, you see where I'm going with this. Basically, I can help you plan out and then live the life you've only dreamed about before. You plan out what you want to do, I make it happen. Where you go, what you do from there is up to you. There's a couple of stipulations, of course. First of all, obviously, once you sign the contract, it's a done deal. 20 years, no more, no less. No extensions, no additional contracts, no loopholes, and no backing out. 20 years is a long time when you think about it. 20 years of life to shape and develop as you see fit, with your own personal demonic assistant by your side and all the backing of a demonic contract. The world could be your oyster. Or not, if you have a shellfish allergy, which I might suggest you can get rid of as part of the contract. Health, vitality, and no pesky inconvenient allergies. Just a bit of free advice there. Second, and this is going to be a big part of the contract if you choose to make one, you can't ever tell anyone about it. Except your personal demon assistant, and they don't count. Anything you tell them is kept in the highest confidence. They have a knack for keeping things secret that need to stay secret. But anyone else, if you ever breathe a word about the contract to another living soul, that's a deal breaker. Contract declared null and void right then and there, and you lose everything. You get to see your entire world collapse all around you, and I will be there within minutes to inform you just how royally you fucked up and to collect what's owed me in default. And that brings me to the last point, collection. Suppose we make a contract tonight. I draw up the terms of your contract. We go over everything, work it all out. And that's something I can do in a single night, by the way. We could spend hours upon hours out here, discussing a contract by this very campfire. And the night wouldn't get 1 hour older till we were done. So suppose you sign tonight. That starts the clock running. 20 years from now, that's dated calendar years, including any appropriate leap days and so forth. 20 years to the day from when you sign the contract. Exactly 1 hour before your contract expires, I'll show up. That's tradition. That's how it's been done since time out of mind. Some folks seem to prefer it that way. It gives them one last chance to talk things over with their assistant. A lot of them get pretty attached as the years go by. A good personal assistant has that effect on people. So, I'll be showing up an hour before the contract runs out. We can sit and drink tea and make small talk if that's your fancy. Or we can go to the rooftop of your tallest tower and you can tell me all about the things you've done with your life in those 20 magical years. Or you can scream and rant and howl about the unfairness of it all, and how you wanted to live a longer life, and all sorts of unreasonable and childish things that I won't really be impressed by. Quite honestly, I'm far and away a fan of the tallest tower option. I like to know that a client has made something of themselves, something they're proud to have done. Or not proud. I've had that happen too. Every so often a person finds that extraordinary wealth and fame and power has changed them, and not for the better. They don't like what it does to them. They start off in a new direction, wiser and more humble, and wanting to see the world a better place, and doing their best to help that along with what their new life has afforded them. I don't try to force it on folk, but it really and truly gives me a warm feeling in what passes for my heart when I see a person change like that. And at the expiration of that final hour, I take what's owed me. What would that be? Why, your soul, of course. Surely you're aware by now that this is my stock and trade. You didn't really think I was offering all this in exchange for your gold watch, or a lock of your hair, or your firstborn child, did you? No, these are serious things we do. and serious things require serious payments. So I will set you on the path to health, wealth, prosperity, and whatever you like. And you will live 20 of the greatest years a human has ever had the chance to live. And in exchange, you will agree to let me take your soul. To do with as I choose, of course. Souls do have uses to those who know how. It's sort of the essence of a living being, but you'll have no need of it after those 20 good years. And that's the last thing you'll need to know about a contract with me. When it comes time to collect, it is entirely up to you how you'll go out. If you choose to be one of the childish ones, the folk that refuse to acknowledge their time is up and their payment due, well, it makes no real difference to me, but there's no need for you to turn your last moments into what may feel like half of eternity in literal soul-crushing pain. Or it can be as simple and painless as going to sleep. You can even go in your sleep, if you like. Your personal demonic assistant can help you with that. A lot of folk do choose that option, by the way. They leave me a letter or some such, telling me what they've done with their lives, maybe their regrets, maybe even thanking me. They take some sleeping pills, or maybe just eat a really big last farewell meal and then go sleep it off. No fuss, no muss, no bother. Quick and clean in their sleep. And what happens after that? Well, not really anything as far as you're concerned. End of tape. Press stop. Nothing after. And that could be something of a comfort, really. Your soul will continue on in whatever capacity I choose to use it, but your consciousness ends at collection time. You won't have any worries ever again. So, to sum it all up, you do a deal with me here tonight, and tomorrow morning you are on your way to fame and fortune, and the sky's the limit. 20 years of living your best life, and then oblivion. Does that sound better than what's currently going on with your life? I thought as much. Now, let's get down to the details of how your future is going to happen.